Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I first want to start out by saying I'm very sorry that I haven't been posting regularly here on my channel for the past 2 weeks. I usually like to post at least 2 videos for you guys and I've only been posting once, but I am sorry. I just want to say I'm back. I had some personal things happening that I needed to attend to, but I am back and I will be posting regularly for you guys. So in this video, I want to answer the questions I get asked most about transplant, and I'm pulling these mostly from comments, mostly what I hear from you guys. So I hope you find this video helpful. Also, before we continue, I want to quickly introduce myself for anybody that is new here. My name is Cindy Flores, and on my channel I share my kidney transplant journey as well as testimony, travel vlogs, a ton of stuff. So if you are new, consider subscribing. So one of the questions that I get seen asked the most is, how soon after transplant does the bloatness and swelling go down from your abdominal area? So after my transplant, I dealt with this problem for a long time, and I know a lot of you guys do as well. The swelling doesn't go down in like a week or in 3 months or in 5 months. It actually took me a year to feel like the swelling minimized, and it doesn't ever go, at least in my experience, it didn't ever go completely flat. At the same time, you have to remember there's like something new there, so you're gonna look a little bit fuller. But the whole bloatness, it takes about a year, I want to say. There's things that you can do to help. I noticed that when I would walk, if I was sweating, if I was like keeping myself active, a lot of that bloatness would go down. Also, depending on what you eat, try to be on a low sodium diet so that you guys don't have to retain as much fluid. If you change your diet, you will see an improvement in the bloatness, and it will help with that swelling as well that's around the transplant. So what I did a lot in the beginning of my transplant was I would do a lot of juice blends, a lot of diuretics. I felt like that was super beneficial for my transplant process, the healing process, everything all around. Another thing that I recommend is if you guys walk, keep yourself active, that will also help. And about the numbness around the incision area, I felt like mine lasted for a long time. I always felt like this weird like sensation if I like even touch my incision area, because I just felt like it was so sensitive. I want to say the numbness goes away about three months or so, probably even longer. But that was from my experience. Next question, how long is the kidney transplant workup process for a living donor? In my case with Haiti that donated, the workup process took around 3 months. She had to go through a lot of different steps, a lot of appointments. I want to say in total we had about 5 or 6 appointments. And after like all the testing and she was approved to donate, I want to say the surgery was scheduled about 3 weeks out. So those 3 months are including the time of the 3 weeks that was like scheduled out before surgery. Another question, how big is my incision cut? So my transplant incision is only 4 inches. It's not that big. It's actually really small. When I see other people's incision scar, I'm just like super shocked at the fact that it's extremely big. However, I had a really great surgeon. His name is Dr. Piper, and he actually told me that he was going to try to do it as small as possible and try to do it as low as possible as well. So my cut is very like low, like it can actually be covered from my underwear. That's how low it is. So if I wanted to wear a 2-piece, you wouldn't be able to see it. He purposely did that because he was like, oh, you're young, you know, I'm sure you want to wear a 2-piece, fine. Little did he know I don't actually wear 2-piece, but yeah, so my incision area is super small compared to anybody else's. Next question, does it hurt to get a kidney transplant? So yes, when you wake up from the surgery, you are gonna feel so much pain, guys. I was feeling like the incision pain, also the fact that they had removed the PD catheter from my stomach. I was in a lot of pain. However, they do give you pain medicine, which it does help In my case, I had like one of those buttons that every time I was feeling pain, I could just press it and I would get my medicine through an IV. So I had that for about 2 days after my surgery, and then after they switched to oral pills, and then when I was discharged to oral pills as well. I try to minimize my intake on any more pills because I was already taking all the transplant medications there. But on the other hand, like I try to avoid taking painkillers. Like I rather resist the pain and be in that discomfort than take that medication because there's tons of side effects. And if you're wondering how long after does like the pain go away, I want to say about 3 weeks after. It does take time. I have a video here on my channel where I give you guys tips on like post-transplant and like what I wish I would have known. And I mentioned that posture is super important. Like when you're in so much pain, we have the tendency to want to like hunch over and want to like slump on our, basically on our backs to like not, you know, fully stretch out the incision cut. But that's a mistake that a lot of us make. And I had to learn the hard way because by like 2 weeks, my back was hurting from being like this always. So I recommend that you like sit straight, walk normal, and try to stretch out your incision area. Another question that I get asked a ton is how long does a kidney transplant last? Well, this all depends. So if it's from a living donor, it's gonna last longer. The average is about 15 to 20 years. And if it's from a deceased donor, it's about 15 years or so. But it honestly can change. It can be shorter, longer. I've met people that have had their transplant for like 30 plus years. You just have to take so much into consideration. You have to realize, was my deceased donor healthy? Was he, you know, a substance user? Did he ever use any type of like illegal substances? So many things that go into like determining how strong your kidney is. Also, if the person donating to you has a lot of similarities as you physically speaking, then that kidney will have a better chance of lasting longer. Also, you have to put in your part, really taking care of yourself, staying hydrated, try to be on a low sodium diet, and so forth. Eat a lot of fruits and vegetables because that will also help with the life expectancy of your transplant. How soon after transplant can I work out? So I was told from my doctor, you know, to always like walk, you know, try to be as active, but don't do any type of abdominal workout until 6 months after your transplant. And it makes sense because the transplant is in that, it's like placed in your abdominal area. So obviously you don't want to do any type of strenuous work down there. But I started working out about 6 months. I started running, walking, and I'm trying to get like active and healthy. I didn't start going to the gym until I want to say a year after my transplant. What are some of the hardest side effects from the kidney transplant medication? So in my case, the ones that I feel like are the hardest for me personally, I would have to say the weight gain, the acne, the hair loss, and the insomnia. These are all like side effects that are happening that I can like see the change. But what keeps me like still like strong and like grateful is the fact that I'd rather go through all these side effects than to be on dialysis again. So there's a balance to everything, and the transplant outweighs the side effects. So that's why I feel so grateful with my transplant. What does my diet consist of? So I go through these phases where I'm like pushing, eating super healthy, and trying my best to, you know, stay as fit as possible. Or sometimes I'll go through these phases where I just eat whatever. I don't watch what I'm eating, how much I'm eating. But when I do that, I feel so bad physically, and it doesn't help me. So what I try to mostly eat are fruits and vegetables, and then my protein. I try to avoid bread as much as possible because every time I eat bread or rice, I notice that I like gain weight basically overnight. And in my case, it's so hard because I'm Hispanic and rice is like basically with every single meal. So I try to avoid rice, and if I eat rice, I try to eat as little as possible. What exams did I need to take in order to be qualified to receive a kidney transplant? So I don't remember having to get any specific tests in order for me to receive a transplant because I had basically gotten a majority of the tests done like a year or 2 years before that, because in order for you to be on the transplant list, you do have to go through like a longer process. So what I do remember is taking a lot of blood work, EKG scan, and a pap smear, but mostly blood work. I would have to go in, like every time they would call me, they'd be like, oh, we need to test this or test that. So a lot of blood work is what I would say. Last question, how long does it take for you to be fully recovered from a kidney transplant? So I didn't feel fully recovered until about a year. And I mentioned this before in other videos, that the first year of your transplant is one of the most difficult years. I was constantly in and out of the hospital. You have to remember your body is adapting to a new kidney that's in there, as well as new medication. So it's gonna have its ups and its downs, and that's why I feel like the first year is just the hardest. So if you push through that first year, your second year should be a breeze, and your third, as well. But the recovery process, in my case, I want to say I was back to myself within a year. So those are my questions. If you guys have any more questions to anything, then definitely leave them down below and I will try to respond to as many as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys found it informative. Please don't forget to like and share it to anybody if you know that is thinking to get a transplant, or anybody that is on dialysis or has any types of questions on this subject. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a blessed and beautiful day.